Well, today's episode is going to be a lot more fun. First things first, we're going to be reviewing Jersey Championship Wrestling, or as we call it, JCW. This is their event that just recently took place on the 4th of March, March Madness. Some interesting matches that took place. Nope, we are not having that title match with the JCW Championship, but Jordan Oliver will be there. But our main event is going to feature a 2 out of 3 falls between Billy Starks and Janai Kai. Then we move on, of course, with Impact Wrestling. As you know, we're still building up to Sacrifice. We got the Knockouts World Championship on the line between Giselle Shaw and Mickey James. We got plenty other things that are taking place before Sacrifice, then Rebellion, and then of course we have Ring of Honor. We This is uh, part of the new regime, as you know. We got the Pure Championship. We got the World Television Championship on the line, and and the Women's Championship on the line too. So it's going to be a lot interesting. And of course, we got some interesting news updates regarding what Stardom events, uh, matches that are being booked, and all that. So let's get ready for another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to the Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, Gerard here. So let's begin with JCW March Madnezz. This took place recently on the 4th of March at the Showboat in Atlantic City. So let's get started with our opening match. We have tag team action. Wasted Youth consisting of Dylan McKay and Marcus Mathers take on Gabriel Sky and Steve Scott. Now, I had this distinct feeling that this match, when I watched it, it was going to go straight to Wasted Youth because they're more cohesive. Now you have like a team like Sky and Scott mixed in together. You don't know how they will team up because I can sense egos in play in between those two. But however, I'm always impressed with the teamwork with Wasted Youth. Both McKay and Mathers applied a 450 of their own onto Sky, but it was of course Mathers who picked up the win with his 450 onto Sky, giving them win. Post match, Scott tried to give himself a selfie with Sky, but apparently he wasn't having it. He probably blames him for not trying to stop the pinfall, but that's how it is. So commentators call him a sore loser. Now, next match, we have Carlos Ramos, a Spanish wrestler from Spain, making his debut. He faces Yoya. This is a very fun match, because I've seen Carlos Ramos before, but during the pandemic, no one has seen him. I heard that he's been working with a band in Spain, but it's interesting that he made his debut here. Yoya, I have to say, was a pretty good match with him. He applied a tombstone driver to put away Carlos Ramos and giving himself the win. Next up, we have the main event, Midas Black and Jay Lyons making their JCW as a tag team. Now, for the record, these two guys did participate in the Battle Bowl earlier this year, but they were not as a tag team. They were doing this as singles competitor. They faces Young, Dumb, and Broke, Charlie Tiger, and Ellis Taylor. And the interesting part, this team was part of that same Battle Bowl too, and they had their partners, the switcheroo. I cannot remember who was what, but it kind of went in that way. I think Jay Lyons might have teamed up with Ellis Taylor, and of course, Midas Black with Charlie Tiger. So I thought it was interesting. But this is more of a payback for what happened at Battle of the Bowl. There was like a scar that, of course, one of them had from the main event. So it was good, but it was Jay Lyons who picked up the win on Taylor. So basically, they got that little payback leading back to Battle Bowl. So that's pretty interesting as well. Next up, we have the Mecca versus Griffin McCoy. Now, the Mecca, who's all talked about saying that he feels that he should be the one to challenge Jordan Oliver for the JCW title. That he is the true definition of what a real championship is. But he did stated that he's going to make his young, dumb, and broke teammate, Griffin McCoy, um, be his little stepping stone to send a direct message. But McCoy, he was no slouch one way or the other. He even took a really big fight against the Mecca. Now, I heard that the commentators, from what they're saying, that he beat Kenta. So it looks more like, from what their perspective, they're saying is that he is becoming a much bigger wrestler in JCW. But he did pick up a really good decisive win against the Mecca when he applied a springboard enziguri. Basically, he launched himself from the and took his head off, and that was it. Next up, Joshua Bishop versus Big Vin, two battle behemoths. You probably can guess that this match was going to go left and right. We'll try to see who's going to bring what person down. That always plays out very well. But it was, of course, Joshua Bishop with the crucifix bomb on through the door that put away Big Vin, giving Joshua Bishop the win. Now, he was not scheduled to be in a match in this particular event, but our newly crowned JCW champion, Jordan Oliver, appeared, talked about how he feel good, how he had to go through everything. It seems like Charlie Tiger and Alice Taylor seemed like they were like, yeah, it felt good that somehow their buddy is there, and they were enjoying the fact that they're proud of him. But however, throughout the entire time, I saw Griffin McCoy like he was feeling like he had like a huge chip on his shoulder. So he was demanding that he has a match against him. He wants to be the first one to take a crack at him, because he made out a resume of saying who he defeated, that he sent packing. So that's what he's saying. And I know Charlie and Alice are like trying to calm him down. Look, I get it. We get it. You want the JCW championship. It's like no secret about that. Now, Jordan Oliver is not afraid to face his own teammate, but he doesn't like how his attitude is being presented. So it's going to happen. But hopefully, I don't know when, but it can happen. Now, we have the Battle Bowl ring match between Alec Price versus CPA. Now, this is something similar to what we saw with AEW with the Dynamite Diamond Ring with MJF. So basically, it was a pretty good match, but I had a feeling it was going to have Alec Price win the match, retaining his Battle Bowl ring. However, someone has a problem with the idea, and that is Joshua Bishop, who was the previous champion, thinking that Alex Price is a fraud. So basically, he's challenging him for the winner take all of the battle ring. He has his own battle bowl ring as well. So he thinks that he is the real Battle Bowl champion winner, while Alec Price is the fraud. He whacked him and then took his ring because he wants this match, but he wants to make it perfectly clear he is the true Battle Bowl champion. That's what he believes. So we'll see what happens then. Now, our next match, we have Sawyer Wreck versus Bam Sullivan. Another good match, but of course, we're going to see carnage take place on that one. It was Sawyer Wreck who picked up the win when she chokeslammed Sullivan through a door. So that kind of put him away, giving her the win. Now, our main event features 2 out of 3 falls between Billy Starks and Janai Kai. It was a pretty good match. Now, the first fall went to Janai Kai when she applied the Dragon Sleeper. It was pretty good. And then, of course, we had Billy Stark take the second fall when she pinned Janai Kai. Now, this is where it gets crucial with the third fall. Anything could happen. But it was Billy Starks with the tombstone that gave her the win. So basically, the end of the night goes to Billy Starks with the win. As you know, they mentioned these two ladies are going to participate at that they participate with Tokyo Pro Wrestling. I think that's the reason it take place, but I wouldn't be surprised if that is. But it was good, not gonna lie. So I think that's pretty much it with JCW. I believe it's time for Impact Wrestling. Okay, Impact Wrestling. So it opened up with Bully Ray with the promo. Now keep in mind, he has been going to war with Tommy Dreamer since he stabbed him in the back, but at No Surrender tossed coffee right in his eyeball. He doesn't want he wants Tommy Dreamer out of Impact. But however, the director of Authority, Santino Morella, told him that he will have a match with him. So basically, Bully Ray's like saying, "You don't have the authority." Yes, he does. So basically, he will be facing him in a bussin' open match. But Blue Panda Gurger comes out to defend Tommy Dreamer and puts himself in a match. So basically, the director of Authority made it happen. Bully Ray versus Gurger. But I had a feeling that this match did not go exactly well, that it was going to go exactly like I thought in some ways. Basically, Bully Ray being Bully, who doesn't give a damn what people try to do. He disqualified himself when he gave Gurger a low blow, and then Tommy Dreamer came for the save. Then Masha Slamovich showed up. So basically, that and then Mickey James tried to give the helping hand and all that. So this war between Dreamer and Bully is not far from over. So we'll see what happens. Now, since Impact Wrestling was in Vegas, we're in the shades of Las Vegas, Nevada again. Now, if you guys remember down in Bound for Glory, or so, no, it wasn't Bound for Glory. It was after Bound for Glory. Um, Eddie Edwards buried PCO in the desert. So basically, they're taking their little feud back to that spot. So I'm gonna skip ahead on that too. Basically, what happened is PCO wanted to bury Eddie. Now you probably can guess that that was gonna be the end of it, but no. When Eddie Edwards and PCO were right at each other's throats, PCO seemed like he was ready to finish off Edwards, but all of a sudden we saw the car ran over Eddie Edwards. So no, PCO, my bad. Ran over. Now I don't know who it is, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's Alicia Edwards involved. That's all I can say. But PCO was left all battered, like he was still breathing. So I wouldn't be surprised that he'll be coming after Eddie Edwards some more. Basically, the job was not done. Now, during a backstage interaction between Josh Alexander and Rich Swann, it was announced that at Sacrifice that they will be competing against Time Machine. So they need a third partner. Now, Steve Macklin, who's we know is the number one contender, is trying to weasel his way in. He's saying he wants to make sure Josh Alexander is healthy, but uh, apparently they found a third partner, and that one is Frankie Kazarian. I'm sure Macklin was not surprised about it. Now, you probably ask why would Josh they pick him? Well, he's a capable person. Not to mention they know they can trust him. Now, our next match is very interesting. Sammy Callan, along with the Design, taking on Rhino. Now, there's a lot of questions going on now. People believe that maybe what if Frankie Kazarian was right? What if this is a ploy? But we don't know Sammy Callan's if he really is trying to accept the idea of the steps that Diener laid out. But his opponent is Rhino. Now, Rhino has some deep history with Diener. If you remember clearly, he put him on the shelf thanks to them, and then later he came back being manipulated to join the Violent by Design, and then he broke away, that sort of thing. But here's what happened in the match. If you guys may have you heard, if you remember, Callahan accidentally whacked Khan during the match No Surrender. Well, Khan kind of had a little payback over that, but he gave Rhino the opportunity to gore Sammy. But we just don't know what exactly is the angle here. Do they honestly believe that Sammy is doing this to a ploy, or is Sammy really, really want to embrace the design? That is still the unanswered question. But we'll just wait and see on that part. Now, Santino Marella and Dango are in the back, just having a little discussion. Now, you know how Santino doesn't like how Dirty Dango's trying to make decisions without him making the authority. But Trey Miguel, as you know, he is looking for an opponent. So Santino said that he'll pick an opponent for him. So it's still unclear who will it be, but I'm sure it's going to be a surprise opponent that I think Trey Miguel is not going to have. But once again, Swinger got in the face, and that sort of face of Trey Miguel. I wouldn't be surprised if they end up in a match. So it's kind of funny how things are like. Santino's like listening all this, but he also has to deal with Dango as well. Now our next match we have Jordan Grace versus Alex Gracia. Um, to be honest with you, I don't know if Gracia was just booked for this particular day. I know she has appeared in Impact before, but will play out. But it was I kind of figured this was going to go to Jordan Grace when she applied the Grace Driver. Now we do know that she does have the opportunity for a rematch against Mickie James. We just don't know when will that happen. Now, in the backstage, Moose shows up while Joe Hendry was actually giving his little fun around stories with his fans. And then all of a sudden, Brian Myers showed up, attacked him from behind. So they were looking forward to beating him up. So Brian Myers saying that he's going to take back what is his, which is the Digital Media Championship. So I wouldn't be surprised if the following week we do see Joe Hendry in a tag match. So we'll see how that play goes out as well. Now our next match, we have a very interesting one. I think this one people were looking for. The Octopus, Jonathan Gresham, taking on Time Splinter, Kushida. I have to say, it was a fantastic match. I mean, you probably can guess that they both have certain aspects. I mean, counters, all of that. I'm like, wow, it's pretty good. I wasn't 100% sure where this was going to be. Now, there was moments where Gresham, he was holding his arm like, I don't know if he was really wasn't hurt, but he was like in pain. But the one thing that kind of put that away was the hoverboard lock by Kushida, giving him a really good win. Now, Killer Kelly comes out to do a little promo to deal with Taylor Wilde. And of course, Taylor Wilde saying that with her tarot cards, something called the Tarot was going to be there. And to my surprise, it was Kylan King who came out. So they beat her up, left her laying in the ring. But backstage, Killer Kelly just can't believe that happened. And then all of a sudden, the Death Dolls show up. Rosemary tried to tell her, you should not have trusted a witch. So basically, I'm not sure if they're trying to say, hey, we can give you a helping hand. But Killer Kelly said that she's willing to go on her own. But I wouldn't be surprised if she changes her mind, because as soon as she left, Wilde and King show up, and Rosemary's like, we're not idiots. We know what you want. You want a shot of the Knockouts tag team title. So basically, that's pretty much it, what's going to take place. But I wouldn't be surprised if Killer Kelly shows up. Now, Deonna Purrazzo comes out for our main event for the Knockouts world title. Giselle Shaw versus Mickie James. Now, this match was announced a week ago. Now, Giselle Shaw, she's all talk but no play. So basically, Mickie James was offering her a shot, but he's saying, nope, it's not going to happen. But Gail Kim overruled it by saying she will have this match. Now, of course, the obvious thing is Deonna Purrazzo, who hasn't forgotten the humiliation she suffered by Giselle Shaw. Giselle Shaw, she's all talk. Now, Of course, there's the advantage. The factor is Evans and Jay Vidal was going to get involved. Luckily, Deonna Purrazzo got involved herself. But when the ref did not see is uh, Giselle Shaw had Mickie James covered, but reversed it, allowed Mickie James to retain the title. And I'm sure we're going to see this feud between Giselle Shaw and Deonna Purrazzo happen because, of course, Deonna Purrazzo is not going to let Giselle Shaw get away with it by talking smack all the time. So I'm sure we're going to see a match somewhere down the line between those two. Wouldn't be surprised if it's sacrifice, if that's the case. So I think that's pretty much it with Impact. So let's move on with our final review, ROH. Okay, Ring of Honor opened up with the um the ROH World Television title. Tony Deppen, who is the former television champion, versus the current Samoa Joe. Now, keep in mind, as I mentioned, Tony Deppen was the previous champion in the last regime of the Ring of Honor before it was purchased by Tony Khan. So I thought it was a pretty good match. Now, you probably can guess Tony Deppen, who is the biggest a-hole on the planet, was going to somehow find a way. Nope. People would probably Tony Deppen that Samoa Joe's going to kill him. Well, he did when he applied the Muscle Buster in order to retain the title. But at his post match promo, he called out for any challenger, and who did he get? Reach for the sky, boy. That's right, Mark Briscoe. Now, we all talked about Mark Briscoe, how in some capacity he's always been a tag team specialist, but I have to say this is a good thing for him that he's going to step up as a singles competitor because he issued the challenge for the ROH World Television title. Now, when could this match could happen? Now, I wouldn't be surprised, or probably it can happen. It would be at a Super Card of Honor on the 31st. So I would say that could happen right there. So Samoa Joe accepted it. So I believe this match will definitely happen. Now, Dalton Castle and the boys, as you know, they have been basically they haven't forgotten the loss they had for the ROH World 6-man tag team titles in Embassy. It looks more like they probably want another shot at them, but they have to go through three individuals in their match, which is Cody Chun and Guillermo Rosas, better known as C4 and the Independents, and of course we have they team up with Marcus Cross. Now, you probably know this match was going to fall in the favor of Dalton Castle and the boys because Dalton Castle tosses the boys to Rosas, Chun, and Cross until Rosas end up in the wrong side of the batarang by Dalton Castle, giving them the win. Now, the Kingdom, as you know, they're back. They're ready to take names. I wouldn't be surprised if they would be the ones that would participate to get the tag team titles back. So I would say that could happen as well. Our next match, we have the Spanish Announce Project, Serpentico and Angelico taking on LFI's Rush and Dralistico. Now, Serpentico, I feel bad for him because he thought he can take on Rush. Rush is like, come on, hit me real hard, but it didn't. But unfortunately, it was, of course, a corkscrew destroyer by Dralistico that put away Serpentico. But once again, as soon as the match was over, they decided to Jose toss Serpentico back in the ring and remove his mask. Someone needs to beat up Jose. He's being I think he's a real dick, and I wouldn't be surprised if -1 punches him in the face in the groin. Next match we have Billy Starks versus Trish Adora. Now, Trish Adora was part of the last regime before with a good impressive record, but her with Billy Starks, it would be a perfect opportunity. But I thought this match was pretty good. Not gonna lie, it did showed a lot of character, but also good storytelling because Trish Adora, as you know, she does show a lot of dominance in this one. When she applied the lariat, it was over right from there when she did that to Billy Starks, giving her the win. Now, Lexi Nair conducts a backstage interview with none other than the fallen angel Christopher Daniels. As you know, a new regime, he had one thing in mind, is to go for another run for the ROH tag team titles. But unfortunately, we all know who was his tag team partner during the ROH days, and that is Frankie Kazarian, but we all know where he's at. However, he did find another partner, and that person is Matt Sydal. So I thought it's going to be good. Having Matt Sydal and Christopher Downs, that's going to be a very interesting team up. So I'm looking forward to that. Our next match, we have tag team action, the Trust Busters, Ari Daivari and Slim Jim, along with that Weasel, Smart Mark Sterling, taking on Jay Chris and Man Scout. Um, you probably know from there that the Trust Busters were going to win this match when Slim J applied the STF onto Man Scout, giving them the win. So, that's how it's going to play out. But, however, in the post-match promo, they called out Matilic for some reason, all this and that. And then, of course, when they were trying to beat him up, Blake Christian came out with the save. So, basically, we will see at some point Matilic and Blake Christian team up to take on the Trustbusters. Our next match, we have the ROH Pure title on the line. Timothy Thatcher versus Wheeler Yuta. I have to say, Wheeler Yuta is showing a brand new attitude in this particular match. Basically, he seems like desperate not to lose the title, because keep in mind, Timothy Thatcher, he is good in submissions and putting you in holds and that sort of thing, but he did got away with it when he applied the a submission using the ring ropes, because Timothy Thatcher ran out of rope breaks because there's only 3. So he retained the title, and then all of a sudden he calls for any challenger, and the person to call is, of course, Clark Connors. And of course, he mentioned Katsuyori Shibata, who has trained them well. So, but of course, Wheeler, was not happening, but later he came back. He accepted the match. Next up, we got the Foundation members, Tracy Williams and Red Titus, taking on Aussie Open, Fletcher and Davis. It was a pretty good match. I think I liked this one. It was interesting. As you know, Aussie Open has been one of those teams that are taking names, are trying to put themselves on the map, saying they are the best tag team in the world today. That's always been the real art of discussion. But it was always to help them win the match. When they applied it to Williams, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Then, of course, they showed that little cockiness with the Code of Honor at the end. But I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to put themselves in the ROH World Tag Team Titles contingency, because I'm sure that the only reason they would do that is to get under the skin of the one team they couldn't get their hands on, and that is FTR. So I'm just saying it. Next match, we have Eddie Kingston versus Ben Dijo. This match ended quickly with Eddie Kingston applying a back fist, and it was over right from there. But he did call out Claudio Castagnoli, demanding a match against him for the ROH title, and he says that Eddie Kingston has no honor. There is no way that's going to happen. Eddie Kingston's not going to take no for an answer, but the commentator is saying that match has to happen, regardless if he has no honor. So we'll see how that plays out too. Then we go to our main event, the ROH Women's Championship. Now, Athena, as you know, gave Willow Nightingale the warning that she's going to hurt her no matter what. Now, Willow Nightingale has been taking names, going through everything, but I have to say she went through a lot of hell. Not to mention, Athena tried to put away her by hurting her arms, making sure that she has no leverage. So it looked more like she had a game plan all this time. But Willow Nightingale couldn't apply the Dr. Bomb, but it took her at least maybe twice, but it wasn't enough because of the weakened arm that Athena applied to her. But it gave Athena the chance to do, I don't know what they call it, but it was the Eclipse, giving her the win. And then one more time, she attacked her at the end of the match. So I wouldn't be surprised, but we're still waiting who's going to be her next opponent for the ROH Women's Champion. So I'm sure we can see Yuka Sakazaki come back. That's something that's been talked about, but we're just waiting to see it until then. I think that's pretty much it with our news updates. I believe no for ROH. I think it's time for our last thing, which is news updates. Okay, welcome to our news updates. For all you Zoe Brookside fans out there, you may have heard the good news that she will be actually taking U.S. bookings here in the U.S. Now, if you guys from your respected regions here in the U.S., if you want to have her there, tell your local promoter to book her here. So it starts on July 2023, not specifically, but she did say it will go all the way to the 2024. But I know some of you might be questioning, will she go back to Stardom? Some fan did ask that question on Twitter. Uh, Brookside actually replied to that saying her time is limited, but um, she will be going back. So it's still no indication when. So that is still the question still asked. So we'll find out soon enough. Now, Progress Wrestling has announced for their upcoming event on the 28th of May for the love of progress. Lio Rush will make his debut. So I'm looking forward to see how that goes out for him. I know he's been killing it recently since he's been out in and out, in and out, that sort of thing. Queen of Indies has announced for another participant, this time coming down in Mexico. If you guys are Lucha Libre fans and you know this person, Lady Apache, she's a veteran in the Lucha Libre world. I've seen her a few times with some interesting stories and all this and that. But after that, I haven't heard anything. But I have to say she's a great addition to bring her in for Queen of the Indies. Wrestling Revolver has announced that Trey Miguel is in fact the first ever Grand Slam champion. If you guys don't know what I'm referring to, he was the Remix champion, the World champion, and now tag team. So that means he has held all three titles. So that is a good thing because he's the first. I'm sure that certain people probably would have thought they would have been the first, but Trey Miguel beat them to the punch. Yuna Manase, if you guys may have heard, she was out on injury for quite some time. There was no indication when she'll be back, but we haven't heard anything from her since she left. But she did tweeted this, saying a month has passed since the operation. A month ago, I couldn't get out of bed and was covered in tubes. Now I'm relaxing in my favorite house. I haven't been able to get back to my daily life yet, but I've been running for a long time, so I'm grateful that I can spend time without worrying about time, because I don't have this kind of luxury anymore. So basically, as you know, she's been recovering well. She's feeling like she doesn't need to worry. She has to put her worry to the side a little for a while, because I know she's been working hard to get the Gambara Yoshi off the ground, but I'm sure that her girls are doing finishing off what she started. So I think she hasn't mentioned anything like that. I think she just doesn't want to worry too much just yet until she's fully recovered. So can't wait to see her get back in the ring. It was announced that Dax Harwood will be in LA for the WrestleMania week on the 31st of March, from my understanding. I think he'll be doing a live podcast at 8 p.m. I'll get more information on that for everybody. Uh, for those who are my subscribers, if you guys are based in the San Diego, California area, then you may have heard AEW is coming to town. This is a pretty good deal. I have to say, a friend of mine has been saying this for a long time, saying, when is AEW coming to San Diego? We weren't sure when, but this comes off possibly off the heels of Double or Nothing, if that was the case. So they said they'll be here on the 31st of May. Tickets go on sale on the 17th of March. So either get it on AEW Tix or go to Ticketmaster. But many people would ask, are they going to wrestle at the Pachanga Arena, which WWE do know. WWE has exclusive rights for that venue. So basically, AEW would do that. But I had a distinct feeling that the venue they're going to be at was going to be at Viejas Arena, which ironically, we have WCW did events there too. So the TNA is an interesting option for them. So I can't wait to see that. Stardom has announced for several events taking place. The next one, as you know, as we speak, we do had one on Cork and Hall, and right now we're moving on to the next. But the one the next is in Gifu on the 12th of March. So let's see. Let me pull up the. So this is for the Sunday, the March 12th at the Gifu. This is the matches they already announced. We got Momo Kogo versus Yuna Manase, Mirai versus Miyu Masaki, Club Venus, Ayame and Mina Shirakawa taking on Wingori, Hanan, and Saida. We have a three-way tag match. We got Suri and Amisori of God's Eye, Meltier, Tam Nakano Natsupoi versus of course BMI, Natsuko Tora and Ruka. Then we have a 8-woman tag match. Queen's Quest consisted of Utami Ashita, Himeka, Mariah, Mai Sakurai, Julia. DDM for Queen's Quest we have Saya Kamitani, Azumi, Utami Ashita, and Lady C. This one I wouldn't be surprised if DDM were trying to snatch Lady C. That's always been their goal. Then we have, of course, I'm not sure if this is the main event. Stars consistent of Mio Iwatani, Koguma, and Azuki taking on Odo Ties, Saki Kashima, Momo Manabe, and Starlight Kid. So that's going to be interesting. Now for the 16th, I believe we have. Yes. For the 16th, this is what we have. We have Momoko teaming up with Yuna Manase to take on Wingori, Hanan, and Saida. Then we have Saki Kashima taking on Koguma. Queen's Quest, Azumi, and Lady C taking on Club Venus. Meltier is in action attack taking on Stars, Mayu Utani, and Azuki. Then we have a 6-woman tag match. We have Odo Tai, Natsuko Tora, Momoanabe, and Starlight Kid taking on DDM's Julia, Maika, and Mai Sakurai. Then we have another 6-woman tag match. God's Eye, Suri, Mirai, and Amisori taking on Queen's Quest, Utami Ashita, Sayakami Tani, and Miyu Misaki. But the main event, as we know, we continue with more of Himeka Retirement Road. It's going to be her versus Ruka. This is payback for what Ruka did to her a while back, if you guys remember. So that's going to take place. Then we do got the 6th. We got the 18th. The 18th. This one is called the Mayu Iwatani Triumphant. I think they're going back to her hometown in Yamaguchi. This is her hometown. Much like we saw with Tam Nakano, this is what we have for her. For her, this is of course we have a three-way match. Lady C, Saida, Yuna Manase. Then we have a tag match. Momo Kogo and Hanan versus Momo Wanabe and Aruka. Then we have a very interesting tag match. A woman. We have Natsupoi, Tam, Mina Shirakawa, and Mariah May teaming up, all four together for the first time. Then they take on Queen's Quest, Azumi, Sayakami Tani, Otamishi, and Miyu Masaki. This is going to be a good one to see how Mina, Tam, and Natsupo along with Mariah will get along. Then after that, we do got another 8-person tag match. We have God's Eye, all three, Suri, Amisori, and Mirai, and the returning Konami taking on, once again, DDM, Julia, Mai Sakurai, Himeka, and Maika. I have to say, there's no doubt that Konami is gonna get under the skin of Julia. Trust me. Then we have, of course, Mayu Utani teaming up with Koguma and Uzuki take on Oda Tai's Natsuko Tora, Starlight Kid, and Saki Kashima. So I think that's pretty much it for that particular event. But we'll see about that. And okay, yep, I think that's it. Now our GCW updates. This is a long list of updates here for that. For the God's Eye of God, for Eye for an Eye event taking place soon on this month, on March 17th, we have Tony Deppen versus Willie Mack. I think this is going to be interesting. I'm sure that a-hole Tony Deppen would find a way to cheat on this one. We have for the worst behavior, which is going to be in Toronto, Canada, on the 19th of March. Rina Yamashita will take on Lufisto. Then we go to the WrestleMania week, the collective. For the culture, it was announced Willie Mack will be taking on Billy Nixon. Then the emo fight on the 31st of March, we have Jimmy Jacobs taking on Leo Rush. Then, of course, the GCW versus DDT on the 31st of March, we have Jimmy Jacobs we have Joey Janela taking on Yuki Inoue. Then, of course, the World on Lucha on the 1st of April, we have Gringo Loco taking on Psycho Clown. This is a rematch between these two. And then after that, they announced for the Indie Hall of Fame on the 2nd of April. They announced that Jimmy Jacobs is the third inductee, and he will be inducted by his friend Alex Shelley. What else we have? And then after that, when we're done with the collective, we go to the I Can Feel My Face. Shigeru Iri will be in action taking on the bounty hunter Brian Keith. Then 2 matches have been announced for the Red Means Green on the 16th. We have the bounty hunter Brian Keith taking on Calvin Tankman. Then there's going to be a six-person tag match. Billy Rock teaming with Billy Starks and Cole Radrick to take on Second Gear Crew. And then after that, on the 21st of April, we got Into the Light. Hijo de Vikingo will be in action taking on Commander. I know that match is going to be awesome. And then Alice in Danger will be in action taking on Billy Starks. And then finally, it was announced for the Scene of a Crime on the 22nd of April, Rich Swann will be in action. Now there's still no yet of his opponent, but I will keep that to a prize. And I think that's pretty much it with our news updates. This is a long one because I know there's some interesting matches you guys probably want to stay prize upon. So I think that's pretty much it for now. So let's just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. I yet to see the latest GCW events in case anybody asks. I haven't seen them yet. There was a lot of things that are coming up, like the GCW, the New Japan stuff. So as you know, the next episode will feature New Japan. We'll continue with the New Japan Cup. Then we got AEW Rampage and NXT Level Up, which I'm excited going to be doing that. If there's any news updates, definitely. As we speak, we have Stardom at Cork and Hall. We continue with more of the Himeka retirement road, but also the Goddess Tag Leagues are on the line between between 7-Up, consistent of Nana Takahashi, and you taking on BMI 2000 between Ruka and Natsuko Tora. So hopefully I get to see that match. There's a lot of things taking place on that day. I'll keep in prize updates on the more information on Dax Harwood being in LA. So we'll go from there. I think that's pretty much it. So I will see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. And have a nice day.